How's it going, everybody? I've got some more magic for you today. This time I wanted to try something a little bit different. I'm playing a Jund Insidious Roots deck. There are a lot of things that this actually really is complemented by in this format. So we have Desecrix, Gift of Servitude, which pulls something from your graveyard. It can be any creature card of mana value 3 or less. And in my opinion, the best card to pair with Desecrix's ability is Unstoppable Slasher. This comes back from the graveyard, is put onto the battlefield as a 2/3. If it dies, which it will if it deals combat damage to a player because of the other part of Desecrix's ability, then it comes back from the graveyard once again, stunned, meaning you can get it from the graveyard once, triggering Insidious Roots. If it dies when it attacks, which it would if it deals combat damage to an opponent, then it dies and comes back again, triggering Insidious Roots again. And if it is blocked, because obviously it's a very frustrating creature, it takes half of your opponent's life, and isn't killed, then it gets to stay on the battlefield because it only dies from Desecrix's ability if it deals combat damage to the player. So if this dies for any reason, it's going to come back and trigger Insidious Roots, which is really nice. We've got other really good things that pair well with this, Vigo being one. This is in Jund colors, which is part of why we're running these colors with this deck along with the Mayhem effects. Also, Desecrix has the Mayhem ability, so if you discard it, you can pay 2 to play it, which is why we have Fear of Missing Out in here as a discard outlet. As well as a few Bitter Triumphs, so if you can get 4 mana up, which shouldn't be too bad, because we're also running Gene Pollinator and Molt Tender so that our creatures can tap for mana, and the Roots plant tokens can tap for mana to begin with, so that's really nice. But anyway, if you can get up to 4 mana, you can get this out for its Mayhem cost. As I said, we have Vigo. When Vigo enters, return target creature with mana value 1 or less from your graveyard, so that's why we have so many 1-drops. We've got 3 Gene Pollinators, which can help us cast things. It gets our mana going a little bit quicker. Molt Tender is really good for both mill and for getting to exile things from your graveyard, triggering Insidious Roots to create mana, so it's really good in that regard. And then Rubblebelt Maverick's actually the kind of worst 1-drop in this, which is why it's only a 2 of. You get to Surveil 2 when it enters, and you can exile it on its own by paying 1 green mana to add a 1/1 counter to a creature, but you almost never want to use that ability for it, because we have so many ways to get it back. Any creature that is in the 1 mana or 2 mana slot can come back if you attacked for turn with Alesha. So I'm running Alesha in here. We do have a significant amount of 3-drops in this deck, so I'm only running Alesha as a 2 of. But it can get back your Scavenging Oozes, Fear of Missing Out, Gene Pollinator, Molt Tender, and Rubblebelt Maverick without any 1/1 counters on it. And then if you can put any 1/1 counters on it, then it can get things like all of your 3-drops back, which can be easily done by using Agatha's Soul Cauldron to add a 1/1 counter to Alesha on the turn that you play her. So that'll put it up to 3 right away, which will make it able to get the Unstoppable Slasher, Vigo, and Terra, as well as the Cody Scavenger, as well as any of your 2 mana or 1 mana creatures. And then if you actually do get to attack with it, it will gain another 1/1 counter, making it able to get Desecrix, because it is a 4 mana, which would bring back something else. You can really easily daisy chain things with this deck as well. Say, for example, you get Desecrix on turn 4, pulling back a Vigo. Vigo pulls back a Molt Tender or a Rubblebelt Maverick. You can daisy chain 3 counters at a time from your different things you have here. Or even, like, say, for example, instead of a Vigo, you get an Alesha or anything like that, then yeah, you can get multiplicative ways of getting multiple things back from the graveyard at a time, triggering Insidious Roots. So all of this really nicely synergizes together. Obviously, Overlord of the Balemark also synergizes well with this deck. Whether you impend it or play it as a creature, you can get Insidious Roots to trigger by pulling back another creature in that way. If you are somehow able to get Delirium, you get multiple attacks out of Fear of Missing Out. Terra and Cody Scavenger have the added benefits of being able to get your Insidious Roots back for you. So if you use a Cody Scavenger and have Descend for, then, or well, I don't know, what's the difference between Descend and Delirium? What is this? I don't even know. It's if there are 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. Okay, so the difference is they don't have to be 4 different types of cards. So as long as you have 4 cards in your graveyard, you can use the Cody Scavenger to bring back Insidious Roots, and Terra gets to return an enchantment card milled when she enters to your hand, so you can use her to return Insidious Roots or Overlord of the Balemark, or Fear of Missing Out, or Dredger's Insight. So lots of enchantments that we can potentially grab as well. Mana base is a little strict here. We're only running 20 mana, and it has to be significantly multicolored to be able to pull off the Jund colors. So we don't have any basic lands in this, which can be a little bit difficult. But your Multiversal Passage and Underground Mortuary and Stomping Ground all work to activate your Verge. Blooming Marsh is a fast land. Here's another Verge, so both of the Verges are triggered off of most of your land, so shouldn't be any issues there. And all of our creatures obviously have the potential to tap for mana in some way or another. So this deck doesn't get stuck on land too terribly much, but it can happen, so be a little bit mindful of it, especially since our curve is heavily focused around 3-drop creatures. But I'm going to go ahead and get into games. We do have a sideboard here, but I'll be totally honest with you, I don't recommend playing any graveyard-oriented deck such as this in best of 3 right now, because people are going to just sideboard and completely eliminate all of your Insidious Roots, your Agatha's Soul Cauldron. They're going to just make sure all of your things are constantly gone. We don't mind as much getting hit by something that removes our graveyard once it's already out, because that would trigger Roots. But yeah, everybody's going to play their enchantment and artifact removal in a way, or, you know, just make sure your graveyard immediately gets exiled. So it's really, really hard to play any graveyard-focused deck in best of 3, and even best of 1's really difficult right now, because Kavero has really just made it to where graveyards are so much more targeted than they already were, with people already trying to stop things like VV Cauldron, so it's pretty difficult right now. But we do have a sideboard if you do decide to try and face the onslaught of best of 3 with this deck. Knife Trick for a little extra discard. Hallmark Siege for some draw, and some Menace effect can help really nicely too, but it's mostly draw because almost all of your creatures are going to enter with some form of a 1/1 counter on them because of the plant tokens and such. We've got Harvester of Misery for a little bit of extra removal that fills up your graveyard. Disruptive Stormbrood in here twice so that you can affect your opponent's artifacts and enchantments. Quag Feast as more removal that fills up your graveyard just a bit more, which is pretty nice. Scavenging Ooze so that you can hit your opponent's graveyard more than you already can if this ooze isn't enough. We got the Undergrowth Leopard, which again is a artifact or enchantment targeted card. This being a creature means that it still synergizes with the deck and can be brought back with things like the Overlord. We've got Maelstrom Pulse in case you need to potentially blow up an entire board of tokens. Things like that is usually what I use it for. And then Vivian Reed, which can be really nice, again targeting artifacts and enchantments, sometimes with creatures with flying, and it can help you just get creatures from your graveyard. Being a 5 mana cost card, though, this isn't something that I often put into the deck. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to be playing best of 1, going for 3 wins like I normally do. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. The Unstoppable Slasher and Desacrix combo is something that I have absolutely loved. I think it's the best combination of use of Desacrix's ability in Standard right now that I have found, and I really, really enjoy it, so hopefully you guys like that. And Unstoppable Slasher is already just really good in Roots, since it always comes back unless it is killed with that stun counter on it, meaning that it is something that can easily, frequently trigger your Insidious Roots. So it's a really good combination with that card too. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get into games now though. Hopefully you guys like this. This is a fun deck. Alright, coming into game 1 here, unfortunately our opponent gets to go first. We have no 1-drops but 2 Roots, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a try, and that might just be a really bad idea. We'll see how it goes. We do have a 1-drop now, so that makes all the difference. I'm going to go ahead and pay 2 life to get this in and get the Gene Pollinator going. If this dies, it means it's a target for Alesha and Vigo for us, which is good. Waiting to see what our opponent's doing right now. Looks like they're trying to get rid of the Gene Pollinator, which I expected. I'm not bothered by that whatsoever if they do. We're going to be going hard on Insidious Roots early. Okay, torch the tower, so we don't even get that in our graveyard, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and go here, getting Insidious Roots down, because we're going to need probably both of those on the battlefield. I imagine both are going to be targeted as things to get rid of early. Okay, we do have a Verge. I'm going to go ahead and do that, getting down the Fear of Missing Out so that we can throw Alesha into the graveyard this time. No, we don't have any 1-drops to get, so let's throw Vigo for now. Now we can double spell, getting down the other Roots and and Dredger's Insight, which should be really helpful for us. Unable to Scream's fine. I'm not bothered by that whatsoever. Let's go ahead, get this Verge down, play down our other Roots, and now we can go with Dredger's Insight. We actually do want to hit a creature if we can, and we did hit a lot of creatures. So I'm going to go with Overlord because it has more long-term potential to trigger for us. And no attacks because we just don't have any reason to. So in our graveyard, we have 4-drops and 3-drops, meaning we probably don't have a good means of triggering our Alesha at the moment. Let's go ahead and start here. I'm just going to impend the Overlord, get as many triggers as we possibly can going on. We only had 1 creature, but let's see, we'll go with Vigo. Get a bunch of triggers here. And then I'm actually okay paying 2 life here for this. We'll get Vigo going again. And this will let us get that other Gene Pollinator. So we've got a pretty good looking board here. I'm going to go ahead and attack with these 2 plant tokens. We'll hold on to this other Gene Pollinator for now. Opponent's going to be wanting to look for some kind of a board wipe, I imagine. And other than Ill-Timed Explosion, I don't know that they have one in blue-red. We'll have to see what they do. Seize the spoils. So I think they're just dead here. They've got 5 mana. But I don't think they have a board presence that can match up with what we've got. Ill-Timed Explosion. Which, if they can get rid of something with 7, then they get the board. 6. So we get to keep our biggest plant. What do we want to do here? Okay. So they just lose, which is pretty much where that was going to be anyway. Next up... Let's get this here. We were going to be getting Alesha down, so we were going to be getting another trigger of Insidious Roots anyway. But what I was seeing is probably going to be what was going on is we were going to get down everything. Alesha was 3 mana, which would leave us with 2, where we could get down Rebel-Belt Maverick and Gene Pollinator. We could even potentially start with Maverick so that we could fill our graveyard with things. Alesha was going to get something at end of turn, and they were going to be taking 6 damage. They wouldn't necessarily be dead this turn, but they would have to have another board wipe and potentially find a way to get rid of this big token. But yeah, so actually pretty fantastic first game. Opponent, I'm not entirely sure what they're playing. Maybe something that was going to be a Euharis spider deck or something. I don't know. They didn't have a single creature that I've seen so far, so I'm not familiar with this deck. But anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get a good game too. Alright, we do get to go first. We have Multiversal Passage, Molt Tender, Blooming Marsh. We've got a lot of really good stuff here to start with, actually. I'm going to keep... We're going to go Blooming Marsh and the Molt Tender to begin with. Maybe into Dredgers. I'm not really sure what the next play is from here. Could go ahead and get the Slasher down. Don't have anything in the graveyard, so probably not. I think, honestly, this is probably the way to go here. Let's go have you enter tapped, get another Molt Tender down. And we'll just mill on our opponent's turn. Fenrir from our opponent. We really want an Insidious Roots pretty much as soon as possible here. Getting a Ribblevault Maverick into the graveyard's pretty fine. I think in this case we're just going to want to go Unstoppable Slasher and keep 2 more mills open. Heaped Harvest, so our opponent's ramping significantly here. Let's just mill. I'm not going to be blocking with any of these. Scavenging Ooze, which is fine. Don't mind it being milled. Insidious Roots, which we're not happy to have milled because we really need some way to get that back now. The only real way we have to get that back is Cody, unless we just draw one ourselves, aside from the one in the graveyard, so we'll have to see how it goes. Did get the Cody, which is really nice, actually. Do we have a means of triggering it? Can make 3 mana, but doing so would get rid of everything in the graveyard. So I don't think we want that. Let's start here. Let's fill up our graveyard, and then we can potentially get the Roots next turn. I think Slasher is what I want. Let's go Dredger. Get the graveyard going a little bit bigger. We'll get rid of land. Not a lot here for us to work with. I don't think we need any creatures this second either, so let's just pull land and play it now. We could go with another creature. I don't want to discard, though. So I think we're good there. Let's go ahead and attack with the Unstoppable Slasher for now. If he trades with the Fenrir, that's pretty fine with me. Okay. Gaining a little bit of life does give him a higher total to half, so maybe that's not a terrible choice. Okay. I think we're good here. We're probably going to mill one more card. Knights of Round is fine. Getting rid of a land is fine as well. Terra could be good here, but first and foremost, we need to go with Cody so that we can get back our Insidious Roots. Let's go here with that. We want to make sure, just get rid of land or something at the moment for this. And now we can do one more thing, which I think is going to be fine. We want to probably get Cody just a little bit bigger. And we will get rid of Scavenging Ooze for it, I think. Lots of triggers from us is actually fantastic, is what we want. Then we're going to attack with the Unstoppable Slasher, see if they give us more triggers, which looks like they do, which is fine with me, because that'll come back on its own, triggering these one more time each. Now we just gotta see what our opponent's doing, because we've absolutely got a whole bunch of stuff going on now, at least. Overlord of the Baelmark. So our opponent's playing a token-oriented game plan. Okay, let's go ahead. Exile. Let's go for... I don't even know. Let's go for green here. And I'm going to get rid of the Overlord because we're never going to get another opportunity to mess with that. Let's do one more of these for black. We'll get rid of Desecrix because it's going to be pretty hard to get as well. Let's start here. Make sure we go here. And then I think I want Alesha. We'll attack with Cody and get something else out of the graveyard. Let's get Fear of Missing Out and toss the one that we already have. Got us a Molt Tender, so it wasn't any better than just getting a Molt Tender, unfortunately. Boiler Bilges, we'll see what happens with it. Got rid of Alesha, which is too bad. Alesha's fun. Dredger's Insight, so they're trying to do something a little similar there with that. I don't know if they would be willing to attack with their Overlord. I think that would be a bad choice personally. Let's go ahead and start here. Let's get green. I will just get rid of Cody at this point. No, let's go with Molt Tender. This one we're going to go with red. We will get rid of a Vigo. Go with Fear of Missing Out, see what we can draw. Bitter Triumph. Getting rid of that, I think, is fine. Go ahead and activate the ability here, which is going to tap too many of our tokens, but it's fine. Go ahead and do this. Now we can get another creature from graveyard to hand. I think it's going to be Alesha. Now I want to get back a Desecrix. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. It's fine. Okay, our opponent died. They let too much damage through to kill them, which my board was absolutely absurd. I don't even know, was this game 2? I'll have to check and see because I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. We got the board going and we got Alesha and Desecrix down. This was looking pretty interesting. They were going to lose half and then lose, or lose 2, then lose half from this hitting them, not to mention I hit them for 10 here. They had a lot of things they needed to block. This board was going absolutely nutty here with all the triggers, and I could have potentially gone a ways about actually getting Insidious Roots going, but it seemed like triggering 2 Overlords was going to help the most from Terra's ability. We were going to be creating tokens that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment you control. It gains haste if it's a saga. Put up to 3 lore counters on it. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. So what we were going to do is pretty much just keep doing this so that we could keep getting triggers. But that was a lot. That was actually a lot to juggle, so this one was kind of crazy. Our opponent didn't have to die there. They just didn't block enough things. We'll see what we get in the next match. Okay, we get to go first. We have Molt Tender, lots of 1-drops and things. Land looks fine. I'm actually pretty happy with this. Going to start off a little slow going with Molt Tinder. I think that's a good way to go because it's going to help us mill quickly. I think next we'll probably go Stomping Ground tapped into Robobelt, mill with Molt Tinder. Okay, red from our opponent. Maybe it's a mono red matchup, which would be bad for us because that's just too fast for us to really set up on. Okay, shocking the Molt Tinder, which is still totally fine, I think. Enter tapped here, getting the Robobelt down. Let's get a Lesha in the graveyard. We don't need it right now. Bolt Wave from our opponents, pretty relevant. Doesn't produce any kind of permanence on board, so I'm not worried about it. Burst Lightning. Let's go ahead, have this enter tapped as red. Then I think here's a good way to start, get a little bit of Overlord going. Unfortunately, we didn't mill something that we wanted. Let's get a Lesha. I think we can have some fun with a Lesha if we get it back. Unstoppable Slasher is going to be pretty nice too. I may get it down soon. Really, we would like a way to lose life if we get around 10. Gaining life isn't the worst either, so let's start there. Dredger's Insight, getting something back from the graveyard for us. I think Vigo's fine in this case. Let's get down the Ooze. Gained a little bit of life, so that should make it harder for them to hit us with like an Hidegetsu second right. Nova Hellkite's fine. Actually helps us a little bit putting that in the graveyard, if I'm being honest. Alright, let's get land going. Then I think I want Vigo. Let's get the Robobelt back. I don't want either of these. Let's gain a little bit of life. No creatures from our opponent's graveyard. I don't think I'm going to be getting Overlord back. And what else can I eat? Desacrix probably isn't coming back. We have 2 Molt Tenders. I'll eat one of them for now. We do have means of gaining life as long as we have the Scavenging Ooze and Dredger's Insight, so our opponent really has to find some way to ping their own Screaming Nemesis to prevent us from gaining more. They need to get rid of Scavenging Ooze. I don't know if they will, but that's something they should really prioritize. Lightning Strike on it. And then Lightning Strike on it again. So they wasted a lot of burn doing that. Definitely have to go Lesha here so that we get something back from the graveyard. Attacking in with Vigo. What can we get here? Scavenging Ooze, and then we'll eat a few more things. Let's go ahead and get rid of Terra. And we'll get one more Molt Tender. Pretty much emptied out our whole graveyard, but we needed to do that to maintain health. Now what we really need is a means of emptying our graveyard more, or putting more things in our graveyard, I mean. We're at 10 now, so if he has Hidetsugu second right, we're going to lose. Okay, he didn't. Let's go ahead and go here. I don't mind putting one of these slashers into the graveyard. Okay. So we did win here. Got 3 pretty quick games, in my opinion. The second one wasn't quick, but it was still a pretty fast win overall, especially since it was mostly our opponent's misplay that let that happen. In this case, I also still think it was probably a misplay. Our opponent should have just lightning striked their own Screaming Nemesis to make sure I couldn't gain life. They were going to have a hard time with board presence at that point, but it would have prevented me from being able to just keep healing up. Because between Dredger's Insight and Scavenging Ooze, I was gaining a really difficult amount of life to manage. Because I was going to be able to discard a creature here to Fear of Missing Out, potentially get it back with Alesha, or just eat it with Scavenging Ooze, depending on if I really needed the health, and play another Slasher, or something else, depending on what I draw. So we never hit our Insidious Roots with this deck, or this matchup, but honestly, it would have been probably too slow against mono red, so going with the Scavenging Ooze as the priority mattered more. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. These were actually pretty quick games, and this deck is a lot of fun. It has some of the best synergies that I've found with Vigo and some of the other cards, so there's a lot of fun to play with this deck, and Jund Roots works really well too. You've got discard plus self-mill plus, you know, a lot of reanimator options between Alesha, Vigo, and Desecrix. I didn't get to do a lot with Desecrix in any of these matches, and that can happen just because it's a 4-mana option, but you can daisy chain some really fun combinations with this deck if you do get it to come out. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for joining me for the video.